I was first in Sierra Leone in 1983. It was my first field trip, the first time I ever led for an American university I was working at in London, and I took a group of international students down there. I selected it because it was exotic, it was English speaking, very stable, very safe country for my students. When we arrived in Freetown, the first thing we did was to go to the Ministry of Transport. We needed transport to get around the country. Mr. Shears was a Minister of Transport, and I explained we needed transport, and he gave me the country's only bus and 2 drivers and 3 or 4 interpreters to talk us through the different tribes through the country, the 13 ethnic tribes there. We spent the most amazing 4 weeks, the students and I, travelling the country. It was stunningly beautiful. The nature was fantastic. The people were warm and hospitable everywhere. It was a fantastic experience and something that stayed with me and all the students ever since, although it's been 35 years now. Then a quarter of a century later, I went with my children to the cinema to see a film, Blood Diamonds, about blood diamond trade and child soldiers. And as the film started to roll, it was obvious it was on Sierra Leone, this country I'd visited so long, many years before. And the scene of devastation and horror and what was going on with these amazing people, this amazing country, was quite horrific. It stunned me, absolutely stunned me. And not long after, purely by coincidence through Facebook, I think, I came back in touch with Olu Tijankol. Olu had been a student of mine on that trip back in the early 80s, and he was heading back to Sierra Leone to try and do something to help his country back on its feet after the devastation of the war. And together we met in London in the office in Covent Garden. We decided to create our first Earth Centre station in Sierra Leone on farmland owned by his family in a place called Newton, named after John Newton, who was the writer of Amazing Grace, the battle hymn of the anti-slavery movement, and a really fitting place for what we're trying to do. The war ripped the country apart. It was from the outside. It was from Liberia, Taylor. It was inspired by the diamonds and the gold wealth of Sierra Leone, and it was dragged on for 20 years. The country was ripped apart, the infrastructure destroyed. The war destroyed whole communities. Hundreds of thousands were left crippled. Families were simply torn apart. Nature was devastated, especially through such as bushmeat and as food sources dried up. Infrastructure, roads, bridges, shops, factories were all destroyed. Farm production and artisanal crafts came to a virtual standstill and remained so. Cities became swamped with refugees and remained totally overwhelmed. Freetown, once one of the most beautiful cities in Africa, remains a nightmare to this day. Earth Centres are centres of volunteering, attracting volunteers, young volunteers from all over the world. The foundations for the centre in Newton are now being built. In the meantime, our volunteers have been based in nearby York, which is a quaint fishing village, Creole fishing village, down by the coast on the Freetown Peninsula. By the cracks of his skin I climb. In front of it is the ocean, fantastic, warm, shallow water where the humpback whales come to breed and mate in the late summer. It's just a stunningly beautiful place. Behind it are the jungles of the Upper Guinea forest. It's just an amazing place. It's quiet and it's peaceful and it's just charming. The people are warm and hospitable. It's a nice place. The same Mr. Shears who gave us a bus those many years ago has now given his summer lodge in York Village as a base for our volunteers. It's fantastic. Our goal in York, while we're there, while we're building the Earth Centre in Newton, our goal in York is to make York into a vibrant, self-sufficient community, independent, and standing on its own feet, based around its nature. From York, you can go whale watching, you can drop down to Sherwood, look at the manatee, or Turtle Island, look at the turtles, or you can go into the hinterland to look at primates and chimpanzees and just treks in the jungle, fantastic bird life, etc, etc, etc. An incredible place. So we're going to build York into a centre of ecotourism and create wealth in York, unparalleled in Sierra Leone. We aim to make York, within a year, the pride of Sierra Leone and a model of what can be done and replicated elsewhere throughout the country and further afield. We have several initial objectives: to build ecotourism capacity through identifying, researching and helping to package valuable elements within the local community and environment; to develop the village's capacity to accommodate visitors; developing the infrastructure of the village. We're also starting eco-share developments where villages can develop 1, 2, 3 bed Creole designed eco-houses to further attract tourists. We're putting a lot of work into training, particularly around education on nature, so whale watching guides, nature guides for the nature trails that we're working on, whale watching expertise. You can help. Our volunteers want a mission to make a difference in York, in Sierra Leone and further afield, and you can help. Come and volunteer with us. It's low cost, it's £100, €100 a week. Help us fundraise. Go on to Just Giving, go on to the York pages on Just Giving under the AWF and do something. Have a pub quiz, have a whip round on a Friday night in your local office. Sell cakes in the front door, do something, just do anything. You generate 15, 20, 30 pounds and put it on Just Giving for York Village, and that money goes direct to the village. It can create work for a woman, you can give her a knitting machine and fabric to make a living for herself. It can go to a carpenter for tools. A staffer, our carpenter, gets paid £10 a day, and in that £10 a day he employs 5 young people and trains them up. The money you raise will go a long way, no matter how small it is. So do something, do a bit. Go on to Just Giving, go on to the AWF pages, go to York Village and donate something on there. Do an event. Everything you put on that website is recorded in your name, so you know exactly what you put there and what everybody else puts there. Collectively, together, we can make a real difference to the lives of these people. You might not be able to do a lot, but you can't not do what you can do. You must do something, no matter how small. Thank you.